we had this week in Washington, rare direct negotiations between Israeli and Lebanese representatives.
This is the first time our two countries are sitting together in over 3 decades. Let's feel the moment. Let's enjoy the moment.
From what we hear, the atmosphere was positive, and Trump says Israel and Lebanon have now agreed to a 10-day ceasefire. Israel and Lebanon have a shared interest in there being a ceasefire. At least the mainstream in both countries want there to be a ceasefire, want there to be a better type of relations between the two countries, and perhaps most crucially want Hezbollah no longer to have its role as an armed militia deciding when it wants to attack both within Lebanon and against Israel. And they also don't want Iran to be able to dictate Hezbollah's moves. Israel's been carrying out airstrikes on Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon. Around 1 million Lebanese civilians have been uprooted by the strikes. Hezbollah has fired missiles and drones at towns in northern Israel. And there's also fighting on the ground near the border between Israeli and Hezbollah fighters. Both countries have an interest in decoupling what is happening in Israel and Lebanon from the other conflict, the much bigger conflict that's happening with Iran. But the problem is that Iran has had this influence over Lebanon through Hezbollah for so many decades. And Iran certainly wants there to be a connection. They've demanded that as part of the wider ceasefire between them and America, that also there'll be a ceasefire in Lebanon. So while the Lebanese want a ceasefire, they also would prefer it not to be connected to what's happening in Iran.
Israel's offensive in Lebanon has been underway for several weeks now. What is its strategy there?
Well, that really depends on who you speak to on the Israeli side. Diplomats and some security officials say that the main thing is to weaken Hezbollah and to create some kind of cooperation with Lebanon where the Lebanese army will undertake the disarming of Hezbollah. Other people that you talk to in Israel, more hard-right politicians and at least some military officials, talk of a much more long-term Israeli occupation of a swathe of land in southern Lebanon, a security zone which will remain under Israeli military control and depopulated for the foreseeable future to prevent Hezbollah attacking. These are two different strategies, and I'm hearing both of them all the time in recent weeks from Israeli officials.
And what about Lebanon, which continues to be in this very awkward situation with Hezbollah?
Well, Lebanon would like to deliver what Israel is demanding, the disarmament of Hezbollah, but the Lebanese army currently is simply much too weak. Hezbollah is a stronger, better organized, better armed fighting force, and they've also been threatening to carry out a violent coup in Lebanon. And Iran, which is supporting Hezbollah, doesn't want to lose its proxy, doesn't want to lose its control over the country. So Lebanon is in a bit of a bind here.
As you mentioned, Trump has just talked about direct talks, and this week's discussion between Lebanon and Israel were mediated by the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. So what is America's role?
So America certainly can bring the sides together. America also has the resources to help the Lebanese army to build up its capabilities. It probably won't happen overnight, but to build up a capability to take on Hezbollah eventually. But at the same time, America, and certainly Donald Trump, has a much bigger interest in achieving a permanent ceasefire with Iran. And that's why he's more amenable to Iran's demand that Lebanon also be included. So America sort of is playing two roles here. It has its more immediate influence on bringing the sides together, but it also is looking at what's happening in Iran and thinking, is Lebanon part of the package, or can we deal with Lebanon separately? And it doesn't seem yet that there's a clear idea in Washington about how to go forward with that.
What will happen next in the coming weeks, do you think?
Netanyahu, both for domestic political reasons, and I think also for diplomatic leverage, isn't yet prepared to accept a full peace deal with Lebanon. He wants to see some more concrete proposals coming from Lebanon about how they plan to disarm Hezbollah, and he also wants to extract from them some kind of a commitment towards a full diplomatic relations with Israel in the future. Now, for the Lebanese, it's much more urgent to get a longer-term peace deal, being forced out of their homes. They've got the prospect of sectarian violence now, because these are mainly the Shia community, and other communities in Lebanon are kind of blaming them and saying, you brought this upon us. The Israelis are attacking us because of your Hezbollah attacking them. So the Lebanese need to diffuse this situation as soon as possible. And that's where the Israeli and Lebanese interests differ. They think both countries would like to see Hezbollah out of the equation, but the sequence of how to make that happen is different from either country.
Anshel, thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you for having me, Rosie.